Buenas. My name is Diego, and this is the You Live Where show. I've been an expat for 10 years now. It's been the best 10 years of my life. And a lot of people really want to know how it is I pull off what I do, or just have questions about this lifestyle in general. The best way that I know how to provide you at home with any type of value is to have genuine conversations with expats, people who own homes overseas, or people who've been on the road for a really long time. This week, I'm talking to a gentleman from Ohio that ended up in Argentina. He's got an amazing story, and that's a pretty big leap. So, for anybody that's kind of interested in how it turns out, give a listen. I hope you enjoy.
Hey Ross, such a good experience to have you on my show, man. I'm very happy to have you here.
Hey Diego, how's it going? Nice to meet you.
A pleasure to meet you, man. So wow, you got a story, huh? Ohio. That
Yeah,
that
yeah, Ohio's where yeah, that's
that
what, that's
that's where
what I
you're
call.
from. Okay. And how did you get the travel bug, man? How did that start?
I think I've always wanted to travel. Like I always, as a little kid, I always dreamed of going to like different places, and things. So that was always like an innate thing in me.
Okay.
But yeah,
And
yeah.
around what age did you start hitting it, man? What time did you start getting out there?
So it took a long time for me to start traveling. I was 21 when I finally got to leave Ohio. I was a lot of like trial and errors trying to get out, and in high school, my first like experience with failure was actually applying to be an exchange student, and then I was rejected, and that was like nerve-wracking for me, you know. But then also, but yeah. So when I was 21, I got to go with a program in my college, and it was a really cool experience.
Where'd you go?
Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Okay, okay. And then after that, you traveled around for a little while. You saw some stuff.
Yeah, so when I was living in Argentina that first year, I didn't do a lot of traveling there. I traveled a little bit in the country, but
Okay.
I was studying principally. But after college, I traveled and I went through backpacking through all of South America and Europe and parts of the United States too.
Okay. Do you think that living in Argentina kind of created a base for you? Kind of like it was your testing ground. It was let's that's your first stop.
Yeah, I always wonder like if my experience, so like I had the option to study and to go to school in many different places, you know, and I always wonder like what my experience would be if I chose to say go to Spain instead or go to Chile or go to Mexico, with my programs that my college offered. But yeah, that Argentina definitely felt like that. It felt like a second home kind of after living there for a year, and then after even when leaving Argentina, it's kind of like Argentina would follow me with like the Spanish I spoke or like just like the drinking mate, which is like this drink that is it's like a everyday drink that they drink here. It's sort of like tea, but it's not at the same time, you know?
Okay. That's a very mate is a very Argentinian thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
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 very yeah,
it's
South
a very South
American.
American but very
Yeah,
Argentinian thing. Right.
absolutely. Yeah.
Right, right. So you spent a whole year there prior to going on as a college student, and that was your first experience living abroad.
Yeah, that was my first experience. I
I
didn't
know
know.
I know it was a while ago, but in that experience, man, what would you think is the most shocking part of that? What was it that changed you to continue to do this? Because obviously, all these years later, you've traveled a bunch, you live there now. But at that time, do you remember what it was that made you be like, wow, I want to do this?
I think just like I really enjoyed, and I'm enjoying this even more now that I'm living here even longer, was like the sense of community that Argentina was about, and that it was all about like you could still like have big aspirations, but then at the same time you still enjoyed the small things in life too, you know? It was like that cool mix.
Okay. Okay. So after college, you did do a lot of traveling, huh?
Yeah, I'd say I didn't have like a fixed address for about 2.5 years.
Wow, you were all over, huh?
Yeah, it was a little bit slower type of travel, but yeah, it was like a few months here, a few months there. There were stints where I was living, like, say, I was on my brother's couch for a couple of months in Montana, where I could like go hiking and see nature and stuff like that. So
Okay.
yeah, it was a cool moment, but then it was a very exhausting time too at the end, you know?
Yeah, I hear that. You could get travel burnt out from just moving all the time, definitely.
Yeah, just not feeling like you live anywhere. Yeah, it was, yeah. So, but
Did you do any Latin American traveling on that stint?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So it actually started in Peru.
Ah.
Yeah, so it started in Peru, and that was a it started in Peru and then I went to Bolivia. I ended up getting pretty sick in Bolivia actually. And so I had to leave Bolivia and go to Brazil. That was what medical doctors there told me to do, so I listened to them.
Okay.
So that was a cool thing is like figuring out how to get a visa for Brazil while sick. And that was a fun, exactly like trying to show up to the consulate being like, yeah, I'm not gonna bring a disease into Brazil. I just need to go here for tourism. So I was in Brazil. I really love Brazil. I really like languages, and so Portuguese was a language I studied actually when I did my exchange in Argentina.
Okay.
And so it was really cool to finally like live in Portuguese and like and meet people, interact and connect with people. And so that was a really cool moment.
Where were you in Brazil?
All over. But I
All over.
started,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, I mean, makes no logistical sense. But it was basically the coast, and then I went into Curitiba, Cascavel, Iguazu. Then I went all the way back north, and yeah, so it was like I was all over. My favorite part, I had an old coworker, and she was dropping me off. We were in Sao Paulo, like in the this outskirts of Sao Paulo. She was taking me to the bus stop to take me to Rio de Janeiro. And when she took me to Rio de Janeiro, she said, "So Ross, how many days do you think you're going to be in Rio?" And me, I said, I'm going to be there 3, 4 days maximum. I was there for almost 3 weeks because it was just like such a good time. It was definitely like an era where I was like learning more about myself and like having fun. And it was a crazy like young 20 something thing to do, you know? But yeah.
All right, man. Wow. Yeah, I have a good friend that lives in Salvador. I've
Okay.
visited Rio, so I enjoyed Brazil. I'd like to go back and see more of the country because I've only been
To the
sparring
major
with.
cities. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
It's
then,
like
all
a
right,
different world.
you do this traveling, you're back in the States, and then you decide to go to Argentina. How did that happen?
I was living 2 years in Boston, and Boston, it changed my perspective on what the United States was. So I've lived in Ohio, but like very rural Ohio. Not, yeah, I'd say it was pretty rural, but still, I was only an hour away from major cities. I've also lived a couple ski seasons in Breckenridge, Colorado, but that was my experience with like what living in the United States was about, you know? So I moved to Boston, and Boston was a lot different. You know, I lived in the North End, which is like this old Italian neighborhood there, and it was Bostonians are a little quirky, a little eccentric, and it definitely changed like my perspective on like what living in America could be, and I really enjoyed it. But I was kind of at this point in my life where I felt like I was a little too comfortable. I really missed Argentina, and I made a promise to myself when I was younger that I would go back and at least try living there. And so I kind of wanted to keep that promise to myself. And ever since coming back, it was like, nah, this is where I need to be.
And that's crazy, man, because like you said, you've been all over the world. You've been through a lot of Latin American countries, Brazil, Peru, the ones with Bolivia.
Sure.
And there was just that calling for you to get back to Argentina, huh?
Yeah, something about it, you know. I just feel like I don't know if it's because maybe I have like a chaotic personality or something in that sense, but like I really like that it's there's an Argentine Spanish word, un quilombo, which means like the chaos, like the mess, you know, and I feel like I just last year I was in Madrid and I remember like I came from Buenos Aires to Madrid and I landed and everything was so like orderly and beautiful and it was really nice and just something felt really wrong about the city and I'm like it just lacks something. And then I was with one of my friends and he's Argentine. After Madrid we went to Naples and we heard like this car ringing the horn really loud, like this people crossing the street aggressively, and there was just all that. And like, this is what I missed, you know, because I feel like Madrid itself was like it was like Buenos Aires, but just clean and prolijo, and you know,
Formal,
yeah,
formal.
exactly.
Okay,
I like
all
Madrid
right.
though. I'm not into Madrid at all, eh?
So from going from where you were to Argentina, did you have a plan? Did you have a job? Did you have anything lined up? Or you were just like, fuck it, I'm going?
Yeah, yeah. So, in that moment, I was working for medical device company. I worked in import and export and stuff like that. And so I was handling like the logistics and also like the customer service piece for customers for a medical device company in the United States. At that time, the job was like a remote job mostly, or it
Okay.
was they weren't really supervised at all. So I just sort of like went on the low and I moved without saying anything. And then 2 weeks like coming into Argentina, there was like the big company-wide announcement. Just so you know, we are going presential 100% and blah 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 blah. And so like I'm like, yeah, well, what am I gonna do here? Like I just moved across the world. I ended up like being able to maintain that job for a while. But then I went more into like what I'm doing now, which is content marketing and helping small businesses.
Okay. All right. So how was that move? Like what did you do with your shit? What did you do with all your stuff? Did you put it
Oh,
into
okay.
storage or
Yeah,
house?
yeah.
How was the move there? Did you jump on a plane and just did you send anything?
Okay, yeah, yeah, exactly. So remember, I've been traveling at this point for like 2.5 years. So like I had bought like five different apartments, not five, maybe like three or four different apartments at this time based on different places in the world that I was living. So like being nomadic in itself, that wasn't so much of a hard thing. The only thing I had a few like pieces of furniture that I wanted to not get rid of in case I was to move back to the United States. That's currently my aunt's basement in
Okay.
Massachusetts,
Okay.
and the plan was to get that back a few years ago, and I never did. So sorry if you're listening to this, Aunt Leslie. Um, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it.
Okay, okay.
But yeah, so I had that, and then I had a car, which I have keep saying I'm gonna sell, and I don't keep selling it. I go back to the United States like 2 times a year, and it's really nice to have for those few days, but I need to get rid of it. So yeah, basically to answer your question, I went to Argentina with a couple suitcases, a month lease for an Airbnb, and I figured everything out from there.
Okay, so that was going to be my next question. So you moved into an Airbnb for about a month until you found home. You found
Exactly.
yeah. And how was finding a place? Was it difficult? Well, you're in a major city, Buenos Aires, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I was in a major city, and then also at this point, because I already had lived here before, one of my college professors, I knew that she like rented out apartments and stuff like that, and so I sent her a message and I said, hey, do you happen to have anything for rent? I'm moving to Argentina. And she was just so like overjoyed the fact that I was moving back to Argentina. She's like, no, I don't have anything, but I'm gonna help you. And so then, so like she said, no, you're not gonna do any of the talking. I'm gonna do the talking. I'm your aunt if anybody asks. And so like she literally like was like, so I was like the nephew visiting, moving to Argentina from
That,
abroad, and
oh,
she
dude, that's
gave me
awesome though. That probably
yeah,
helped
no,
out a
she really
ton,
gave me
huh?
a huge hand. Yeah, absolutely. But a lot of my expat friends, they don't struggle, but there's like you have to be a little careful. There's like the rent situation here, like any major city, there's sketchy things, you know. So
The gringo tax?
yeah, I think there's a little bit of a gringo tax. Right now, currently Argentina is just expensive no matter what.
Okay.
But I'd say before the situation changed, it definitely was like, oh, you have dollars, let's charge you a little bit more. But
Okay.
now
All
I
right.
feel like it's just so expensive that there's really no. It's just it is what it is.
All right, and you mentioned you have some expat friends. How was it? I know that you speak Spanish, and that probably helps a ton, but how is your social life, man? How is it meeting friends? How is it going out, finding places?
I feel like Buenos Aires, like that. I think that's like the major selling point to the city is like if you want to meet people, if you want to have a social life, it's the easiest thing in the world. Like if you don't, if you have a hard time meeting friends in the city, it's probably you're the problem, not the city. You know? I don't want to like say it like any other way, but like,
So it's a very
I'd say
sociable
like
city, huh?
yeah, it's a very social city. It runs on including people. There's always a plan. There's always, if you're into partying too, there's always a freaking party if you want to go out like any day of the week. It kind of is overwhelming for me because I don't have a history of like going out, but then like my first few weeks, I'm like, I'm going out like every single weekend. Like this is not what I'm about. Like I'm about like this health and wellness lifestyle, but like the city like snuck up on me and all of a sudden like I'm raving every weekend. So that was a but no, making friends, it's super easy here. I think there's a huge expat community. And then also Argentinians are super curious. They're super embracing people, I think, because they also have a like an immigrant past, you know. I think that's why they might be a little more open to that. And yeah, I mean, I think my social life is really I don't there's never something I'm never have to worry about like what am I going to do during a weekend or what am I going to do in the evenings, you know?
Okay. All right. In context of that, do you have like a dope spot that you could recommend? Like a good place, like a hidden gem that you could give me?
A hidden gem. Well, I'll tell you like the most common. I think that this is like where most expats. This is like a canon experience that if you're moving to Buenos Aires or if you're visiting Buenos Aires, I think everyone should go to Mundo Lingo, whether you're single or whether you have a partner. But basically, it's this place where you go and they have like meetups throughout the city every day of the week, where you put on the flags of the languages that you speak, and then the idea is that you go to chat with people. And so like it's not weird to approach strangers. Like you chat and you mingle and you practice your languages. And I'd say that's like I think 90% of all the expats in the city have probably gone to at least one of those events. And it's really cool because
Wow.
it's yeah, it's called Mundo Lingo and it really yeah, it's cool. You can also flirt there. You can also like I don't know, it's just really fun. So
That's awesome, man. That's a really cool idea to have people meet each other. That's a cool thing.
yeah, and you just put the flags of the language that you speak, and then from there it just sort of yeah. And what's really cool is that like it's if someone approaches you, it's not like a why are you talking to me kind of thing. It's
All
like,
right,
oh,
right.
this is the point of like the interaction, you know?
Wow. All right. So, you work, right?
I do. Yeah.
And what do you do now? You were telling me you're a content creator?
Yeah, I do like marketing for smaller businesses.
Okay, and that's locally, or is that internationally, or how does that work for you?
So I've done a little bit of work with Argentina and that's fun. I prefer to do most of my marketing in English just because it's my mother tongue, you
Yeah,
know, and
yeah,
I
I
know
feel
that
you.
like
Yeah.
not, I mean, my Spanish is really good for like living and stuff, but like I just feel like I have like the full control over everything. But yeah, I actually just did some work for a small business here. They're like a small law firm, and that was actually really cool to like write like email campaigns for them and getting their story out. So
So, do you think it's what's the work culture like for you there locally? How is that?
oh.
Is it different? Is it completely different than the United States dealing with clients, Argentine clients over US clients? It's it looks like you got a lot to tell me, man. Come on.
I feel like Argentinians are gonna like destroy me if they listen to this. So I did take a job in an Argentine business, and I was there for like 6 weeks, I think. And I was very, the work culture itself was very, I couldn't believe just how like straight up chill it was. Like I would go into the office and I'd arrive like 10 minutes late or sometimes a half hour late and it was no big deal. And I'm like freaking out because I'm like stuck in traffic or whatever. But like
That's
no
the
pasa
US side
nada,
of you.
tranqui, and then like I'd get to the work day and then like it'd be like, okay, we're gonna start the day, we're gonna drink mate together, and then like there'd be like an hour of work, and then it'd be time to go to lunch, and lunch would be really like a long, like chill lunch thing. And then after lunch we'd work a little bit, but then it'd be time for coffee and merienda, and then it's just like, oh, and then all of a sudden we went away. So it was like the very chill days, but like it was to the point where like I couldn't get any work done because everyone I just like I just felt like I was just chilling all day, you know?
All right. Okay.
But like that's just for me.
Whereas in America, it's go.
Yeah, I think it's like go time, go time, go time. You have like what a half hour, at least in my work experience, I had a half hour to eat lunch, maybe an
Right.
hour. Boom, boom, boom. And then by 4:30, 5 o'clock, I'm packing up and I'm going to the gym and then I'm in bed by 8 o'clock, you know, 8 or 9. So
So it's a lot more relaxing in Argentina, the work situation at least.
super more relaxing and things move slower, but at the same time like I kind of appreciate that now, I think. I like that it's kind of weird like you there's this battle of like efficiency and wanting to excel and to push and then sometimes I think you need both.
That's that's a really good perspective, man. I saw somebody on some social media outlet talking about how the work culture in Europe is very laid back, much the way it is in Argentina. And he's just not adjusted to that. Like in America, it's go, go, go. But I do think there's find like what you just said. I agree with you. Finding that balance is kind of the key, right?
And I do want to like preface that like as I said all these things about like this like work day in Argentina is like the Argentine people are they're very hardworking, they're very smart, they're very intelligent people, they're very educated people, and it's not that I might have exaggerated, but like at the same time, like it was, they're still working and they're getting the results needed. And they're actually, if you are looking to near shore or anything like that, I definitely recommend hiring people from Argentina because they'll be able to
Awesome.
really, yeah. So yeah, just want
Awesome,
to,
man. Yeah, yeah. Good, good. So in your personal business, a lot of your clients are with the States, huh? Still in the US?
yeah, most of them, like
So this
90.
business you started on your own?
Yeah, it was just like a small like referral business and kind of growing organically from there.
That's awesome, man. Does your dollar go further in Argentina? Because you working in the US, I'm assuming you're getting paid from US clients. Does your money go further? How's your cost of living?
Yes, it does, but recently, or I guess like last year, I'd say there was an adjustment. And so like in certain things, Argentina is more expensive than say Europe. I still think it's still cheaper than living in a major city in America per se, but like there's still for example, my rent has raised in dollars, so not in Argentine currency. In the past year, it's raised 70%. Um, so that's just like one example. Um, or like food and everything like that, everything has gone up in price. So it's not like Argentina used to be like stupid cheap. Like you could go and get like a full course meal at a restaurant for like say $10. And now you're gonna pay more like probably 40 or 50 at a nice one, which is still that I'm still talking like the whole shebang, which is still cheaper than living in the United States for sure.
Right, right.
But I think just because I've been here long enough now that like it almost hurts me
You're a
paying those
local.
prices when I know like when I know what it used to be, you know?
Right, right. Okay.
But
Between so I know that you lived there for a year when you were in college, and then I know you're living here now for a while. Was there anything that kind of hit you differently between living in like anything that you thought was different between living there and being a tourist there? Like now that you've been there for a long time, do you see anything differently than how you thought it'd play out?
I feel like I never like I did like the tourism things, but then like as soon as I got there, I was in the go of like going to school and having a routine. So I've never felt like a tourist per se. I never had that feeling.
Okay. All right. All right. So it's
Yeah.
always been like home for you. It's just it makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, or just like at least I never felt like I think more recently I've been feeling more like this is like where I belong kind of thing or like this is like my place, you know? I feel those are big words, but like I feel like that's been like more of a more recent thing. Like when people ask like, "Hey, where are you from?" It's like I'm from America, but I live here, you know?
Okay.
Um and but yeah, I never felt like like I had a super tourist moment per se. And maybe
Okay.
I did back then, but I can't recall anything specific.
All right. What does a typical day look like for you?
For me, I wake up at 8:39. Things are a night culture here, so that's like that just like works for me. I do I do like writing for myself for like an hour and that's just kind of like my like I drink mate and I write and I
The
really like
mate.
that. Yeah, I'm obsessed with mate. I wish
Cool,
I had
cool,
one with me right now. But
cool.
so I do that, and then after that, I dig in and I start doing like work for other customers and start to make money. Um, at like say noon or one, I eat a lunch. This is all like from my house, and then in the afternoon, if I'm having a hard time focusing, I go to a coffee shop or I go to a co-working space just because that's the only way I can get myself to like suck out a few more hours of productivity. My
Okay.
most productive time is in the morning, and that's just I think it's a very common thing. And then in the evenings, I train at a powerlifting gym here, and I'm there for a few hours, and then I go home. That's a typical weekday. When I'm
Okay.
not training, I like to go out with friends. We'll go dinner, stuff like that. The weekends, I really like to go out. The nightlife here is something else. It starts at like 2 in the morning and it starts until late, and it's yeah, and then it ends at 8 in the morning. So I really that's something that like I think everyone says I could never do that, I could never do that. And there's this thing where like the city like it grabs you and you're doing it, you know? And but if not, like asado, I forgot, how can I forget about asado? So Argentina, they love, and this is like it's like a holy experience where like you and all your buddies, you go and you have you get your grill and you put wood on it and then you just cook meat, and it's one of my most favorite things about Argentina.
Is the asados?
The asados.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me
I
too,
think
man. I'm an old man and I'm a carnivore, and it's because of Argentina. I am.
exactly. Yeah, no,
Um,
no.
all right, man. So wow, that sounds like a good day. That's a good situation. When you told your family and friends back home that you were going to move to Argentina, that you were going to do this full time, how did everybody take it?
I think at that point they kind of like they weren't surprised because I'd already been traveling. Like I was in Europe, I was in South America, I was like kind of really nomadic for 2.5 years. So like when I said, "Hey, I'm moving to Argentina," it was sort of like we sort of figured you'd be doing something like that, you know?
So everybody was cool with it?
Yeah, I mean, it was still hard, obviously. Like I'm not a I don't really like cry a lot, but like the times that I've cried with my with my parents in my adult life has been when I first left, when I did my exchange, when I was 20 years old. And then I was visiting home before I went to I was flying out before I was flying back down here, and I gave my mom a big hug, and I just like I don't know. So yeah.
I hear you, man. It can be heavy. I hear you, man. That's the cost of our lives. For me at least. The cost of me living this way and doing this is missing time with my family and friends back home. You know? Everything
Yeah.
else is bullshit. The bike, the house, the toys, everything else is all backdrop, you know. But yeah, the hard part is that. You know what I mean?
Super. Yeah, I think that's like everyone asks us like, what are you doing here? Why are you here? Like they don't understand because like for them they think like United States is like this glory land thing, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like and they say like, what do you miss about home? And it's nothing like I could say like, oh, I miss Reese's or I miss like some like random things like that. You know, I miss protein bars, but like it's not. It's I miss my nephews,
Exactly.
miss my brother, I miss my sister, I miss my mom and dad, you know?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
miss being able to see my grandma and just like drink coffee with her and listen to her tell stories about when she was younger. Yeah,
That's the cost. That's the cost for us doing our lives, right? I hear you though, but you
totally.
got that bug. You got to get out there. I'm sorry.
Not always.
So how's your diet? What would you say, has it changed much since you've been? I mean, we're talking about food and some of the things we've mentioned to Reese's. How's food for you in Argentina, man? What's your I know it's the asados. Obviously, that meat
Yeah.
is everything, but how's your diet? Has it been better? Do you think it's the food's better? Tell me about it, the lifestyle.
So yeah, so it's food and diet has been something that really important to me, I'd say since I was like 25. I used to be morbidly obese. And so like I started taking health and food and wellness super seriously in the United States, and I was like very obsessed with like tracking macros and calories and stuff like that. I moved to Argentina and things are a lot less processed here in the sense that like I was using like an app to like scan like here I'm gonna scan this protein bar, I'm gonna scan this thing, this food product, and then it'll have like my calories, my macros, everything like down there. Argentina is a not they don't really have things are just like they're made for you, you know? It's not packaged, which is fine. So like, and there's not like the high protein like snacks like that the United States has, you know, like there might be some, but it wasn't the same. So that was really hard for me as like as a former like someone trying to like figure out like my health and my nutrition and how to like manage all that, and then just to be like your options are to eat chicken or eggs or steak, you know, like that's how you get protein in and so like yeah, so like that was tricky, but I actually I go to a nutritionist here because I practice like for fitness and stuff, super hobby. But so like and they gave me like a plan, and so what I eat I think is not a typical like what an expat is gonna eat. It's very much like a protein in a rice and eggs and you know what I mean? But yeah, I think I eat a lot better. I think I my health is a lot better being here. Obviously like something that's really cool about Argentina is like the beef is something that is still like very compared to like Northern Europe and the United States, it's super cheap. I
Los
bought a kilo.
gauchos.
See, see, exactly. I bought like a kilo of steak for I think $6. That's like 2 pounds of steak. I think in Boston it was for two ribeyes, it was like $50. So
Yeah, it's a different world. Wow.
yeah.
So congratulations. First off, if you said you were a big guy and now you're fit, man, you look good.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I've
Yeah.
heard you mention it before. You're on a powerlifting team, you train every day. So that's awesome, dude. So that's your shtick.
Yeah, it's
That's
not
what you do
on
for
a
fun.
team.
Or
Yeah,
no,
it's
I
not
mean
a
you're
team.
not on a team, but you go to the gym, the powerlifting gym, and you work out and stuff, right?
Yeah, 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 exactly.
Has that
Yeah.
helped your social life? Have you met a lot of people through your activity?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that was that's I wonder like what my life would be like if I didn't meet the guys there. So
That's amazing. Yeah. I can relate to you because I do the jujitsu thing. And I'll tell you, wherever I've landed in the world and I go to the gym and you meet people and it's that underline, we have that thing. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And so, yeah, that's awesome, man. That's really cool.
that's really cool.
Um, so okay. Do you have your residency there?
Um no,
Is
but
it
it's so,
is
like
it something you're considering?
yeah, so it's like I'm working on it. So like Argentina, they don't really have like a good program for people who are like that are working from abroad that are that don't have passive income to get like a type of visa. The options are to marry someone, or to have a kid here, or there's actually a lot of go to school, and I already went to school. I don't really want to go back to school.
Yeah, I hear you.
But like some people are doing like cooking classes and stuff, but like I don't even want to pay money to do like stupid classes. Like I already speak Spanish. I don't want to do that. So what I've done is I applied for citizenship directly, which is cool. So once you live here for 2 years, you can request citizenship. You can apply beforehand. And so now it's been over 2 years now, and so now I'm just waiting for the judge to finalize everything.
Okay, so you are going through with the process.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But like I'm technically
Has it
like
been a crazy process? Has it been tough? A lot of paperwork, a lot of bullshit, or was it kind of
so I hired a lawyer, so that helped me like
perfect?
tremendously. Yeah.
There,
But
yeah.
like at the same time, yeah, it's still like a lot of it's still there's only certain things that like the lawyer can do. You still have to get all the stupid paperwork. It's a lot
Yeah.
of translation. It's a lot of I think it's a pretty standard process that's gonna happen, but like it's definitely a worthwhile thing, you know?
Yeah, okay. All right. So let me ask you a question. If you can go back to you before you moved there, right? What would you teach yourself? What would you tell yourself? What would be the lesson?
Oh, these are really good questions. I think I think maybe I would have him be a little more intentional with like what the move was. I feel like I was at a point where I was just sort of like autopiloting it and not knowing what I was doing, and I literally just like was going with the flow. And I would say yes to everything when I got here, and I got so overwhelmed and burnt out because it was like I all of a sudden I was trying to like maintain this old job that I have and open up a second job, and then also say yes to this volunteer project all while I was still running at that point. I was doing so much, and I think that like I was trying to like create a new life and then maintain my old life at the same time, and I didn't realize there was going to be some sacrifice involved. So I think it would be to go with one singular vision that was going to be cohesive to get me and that aligns with my goals.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, that's a good one. What's been the hardest part for you? Nine
Being in
times out of
Argentina.
10, people tell me it's the language, and you you have that down. But what's been the hardest part for you of being in Argentina?
I think for me, because I don't have I don't have like a bank account here. Oh, actually, I do have a bank account, but like I don't have this app called Mercado Pago, and it's because I don't have a DNI, which is like the document of like I don't have a national ID here. And I think not having that really has made it tricky for like making appointments places and things like that. And the alternative is to just use your passport, but it's also I don't like carrying on my passport everywhere, you know?
Right.
So
Okay. So it's like a level of ID that you need to make that's streamlined within the populace that you don't have type thing.
yeah, and I think that in my defense, I probably could have gotten one of these by now. It was just me being like umbago, like a lazy guy.
Un
Um,
vago.
so
Yeah,
like maybe that's not even that big of a bad thing to hear, you know. I feel like yeah, I don't think I've had many issues. I think getting home, it's not like in Boston I could fly home like once a month and it was a quick flight, but like obviously I'm not flying home to Ohio every month now. But
yeah,
that's part of the price, you know? So
yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. Uh, Here we go. You meet you're visiting Ohio. You're back there. You're saying, what's up to family? You run into a young guy, 19, 20-year-old guy, and he goes, holy shit, Ross, man, I love what you do. I want to do what you do. I want to travel the world and live somewhere far, man. What advice do you give this kid?
just to go. I think it's there's a lot of things in your head that stop you and it's not as hard as you think.
Okay.
I
That's it.
think that
Just go.
yeah, I mean, I think everything else like it kind of it works itself out innately. Like when I was like a broke young 20-year-old backpacking, obviously I know prices have gone up, but like sometimes I only had $2,000 in my bank account when I was like, you know what I mean? And like it was it was definitely a little ballsy move, but like I got to experience the world and I learned more and I realized just how yeah, I don't know. I think I just go and actually, that kind of contradicts the advice that I currently gave my young.
No, 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 but that's no, you
No,
did it
no,
right though,
no.
because you did just fucking go, and now you're where you are. It's all
Yeah,
right.
yeah. But then
It's a
remember though, like
cyclical.
before, I'm like, what would you tell the Ross
I
before he
know.
goes
Tell
to
yourself to have
like,
a plan to go, but it doesn't matter. You took your advice and you just fucking went. And now, in hindsight, you're telling yourself the right thing. It's all right.
yeah, yeah. Nah, yeah. I just think that like I think a lot of times people they doubt themselves that they couldn't do it or like they think I think people like when I go back home they think I'm this courageous person and it's I live in a city, you know, like it's nothing, you know.
Right, right, right. No, Buenos Aires is dope though. It's a cool city, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
really fun city. Yeah.
That's a really cool thing. All right, man. Let's see. How about your health care? How do you handle any of your health
Yeah.
care issues?
So up until a few weeks ago, healthcare was free for even foreigners that were in the country. So that was a really cool thing. But I have private healthcare. And so for me, for my health insurance, it's again, this is Argentina, so the price changes every month. I think
Okay.
originally, so this is actually a really good example to show you just how much like prices have gone up. I bought this health service in 2023 at the end of 2023, and I was paying $40 a month for like well, some of the best health insurance in the country. It wasn't the best, but it was like the second best because this is one that they accept expats with.
Okay.
So or people without a DNI.
Okay.
Now that was $40. And so now I'm paying $190
Is
for
that
the
is that
same.
medical? Is it full coverage medical though?
Yeah, it's full cover. Yeah, it's full coverage medical. I don't even pay when I have a prescription, I don't pay a copay, nothing. Like so like when I say $200 a month, it's like compared to the United States, it's
Yeah, I was
still
gonna
like
say, yeah,
yeah, yeah. But
yeah,
like so like compared to like
yeah.
I just yes, so like it's still like it's amazing. Like I've never paid anything extra ever. Whenever I want to do like blood exams or like whatever, it's so simple. Like it's a very good service and yeah, so I'm not complaining.
Okay,
But
okay.
I just wanted to like show you just how like the price have gone different though in dollars, 40 to 200. Yeah.
But it's definitely so it's a smarter decision to go private as an expat, you'd say?
Yeah, I'd say, well, now you have to. The
Okay.
government just changed some laws, but it's also like a very it's really high quality, really low cost. But then actually I spoke with this guy from Russia and he brought up a really good point that like if you don't use medical services a lot, it might not even you might not even need it
Okay.
at all because you can still like say you want to get a blood work done or you want to get a dental cleaning. If you just pay it like ad hoc, it's still really cheap. I do it just because of I've had some medical history and I just have that worry, you know.
Yeah, of course, yeah. All right.
But yeah,
Living in Argentina for as long as you have now and have traveled the world that you way that you have, it's definitely impacted your life and the way you see things, I'm sure, right?
yeah, absolutely.
So tell me about that. Tell me how you think it's hit you the most.
I think that I can't think of the specific example, but like I had this moment where I could look at Americans, like I'm American and I love America and I 100% feel American. But like, and at the same time, I could say, oh, the Americans, they wouldn't ever do that, or they would think this, or this is how an American would think. And then I'm like, wow, that is really cool that like I could tap into like the outside perspective while still being on the inside, like still being an American too, you know?
Okay.
I'm trying to think of what that example was, but I can't remember. So I think there's that. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think coming from a small town in Ohio, the you grow up with a traditional way of living, like really strong, good family values, and I'm really grateful for them. But I also like different ways of like at least living in a big city now, and you can see like there's a lot of different ways you can conduct and live your life, and yeah, I think I don't think I have like such a big race for productivity as much as I did before. I still am a huge dreamer. I think I'm even more passionate now than before. And I think that's something that like the Argentinians have given me, like feel something, like do something, like let's go. Put a little more violence in your work, or aggression,
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't know if I answered the question or
No, you
not. I
did.
feel like
Absolutely, man. Getting your bell unrung or ringing the bell from seeing different cultures and understanding your own. Absolutely. I see that, man. Last question for you. What's your
what
wow
about for
moment?
you though? I'm just curious. Can I ask you like how has it changed your
You could ask
perspective?
me anything. Yeah.
Sweet.
What do you want to know?
Like how is
How has life
yeah.
changed my perspective on things?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
have a lot more tolerance. I had to learn that so many people were all so much different, but at the same time, we're really the same. So even though poor people in my country, we eat rice and beans or cheese or a type of way that we do things, and that might be different in Argentina, but poverty's poverty. When you're poor here and you see how people struggle and you see how people get to, and it's the same thing amongst the wealthy, the middle, people are people generally anywhere. And they all have little beliefs and they all have little things that make us different, sure. But at the heart of it, we're all humans. So that
Yeah.
tolerance
Sure.
for me to be able to speak to people anywhere in the world, I don't care if you're a billionaire, I don't care if you came from the dirt, we're all the same. We're all people. We all deal with the same
Totally.
struggles. Do you know what I'm saying? We all see things. So just to have that tolerance in my own life to talk and come across people and be like, all right, I can see why you see things the way you do, or, from that part of the world or anything. That's what it's taught me, to just calm down and have more patience
Yeah.
with people and see things. That's one way that
Abs-
it has affected me. The America thing, the same thing as you. I'm not from a small town. I'm from New Jersey. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of, like, you were in Boston, so you understand the 14 original or the 13 original colonies. We're different up there. We have a lot of mixture. We're
Yeah.
racism isn't as strong there. It's a different thing. We're more mixed in.
Hmm.
But yeah, just understanding that there's some people there that are so closed off and they see things only the way that they see things. And to be able to get out and well, there's other ways to view things. Like you were saying, there's other ways to live your life, or there's other ways, do you know what I'm saying? To view things. So getting out of America, getting out of the blinders that country holds on people. Do you know what I'm saying? Seeing the world
Yeah.
differently. That's the ringing the bell. Boom, you see shit differently. So yeah.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Wow moment. Is there a moment throughout your life? Is there ever a time where you're sitting there and you just stop and you go, "Holy shit, this is my life. This is awesome."
Yeah. It happens a lot actually. Like I think I'm gonna go traveling again in a few weeks and I get this text from one of my friends. I'm traveling with we're three guys from here, and one of them said, "Hey, we're gonna go to Cairo for a night and then come back." And then where there's a party, we have to go. And I start laughing because I'm like, what is this? This is not my life of like just like from like Lake Erie, like working as a barista, like like we're doing this
Party in
like
Cairo.
and then going back to Malta, like it just started to make me like, I don't know, just feel like, wow, this is crazy. Or even like I get like a little like whenever I'm walking for in the center of the city, there's this place it's called the Nueve de Julio, which is the ninth of, it's like the widest avenue in the world. It's chaotic and it meets this avenue called Corrientes. It kind of is like Times Square. You see the obelisco, like an obelisk, and it's And when I'm walking through there, it's sort of like, damn, this is fucking crazy. Like, yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Afterwards. Listen, so Ross, man, thank you so much. Oh, you know what? Before that, Ross, give me something that you want to give me your pitch, man. Give me a prop. Throw something out there for your business or for whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
Give me
so
a plug. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. Give me a
give you
give
a
me a
plug.
plug, Ross, on anything you want.
So I recently started TikToking in Spanish. That's been a fun thing. So it's at Letters from Ross, and I write letters to people, places, and things. They're kind of introspective thought pieces.
That's amazing, man. I'm gonna get your information and put it in the comments section so people can follow you. Cool?
Sweet, thank you.
Yeah, awesome, man. Hey, I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming on the show, man, and taking the time out of your day to talk to me, man. You've got an awesome story, dude. Really
Hey,
cool.
thank
And
you, Diego.
keep up the good fight, man. I nothing but positive vibes your way, brother.
Hey, likewise, same for you.
Awesome, man.
Ross, wow, man, that was awesome, dude. Thank you so much for giving me your time. I wish you nothing but the best. Enjoy the mate. And thank you, man. Thank you. So, for my viewer at home, if there's any questions in the future that you want me to ask my guests, just put it in the comment section. Give me a like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you in 2 weeks.